Hi YouTube, XtremeTrainz here. Now if you've watched my channel, you know that I don't really collect much other than the Thomas Minis in terms of Thomas stuff these days, and some, odd extraneous Thomas items here and there. But the change to the new Take and Play, aka Thomas Adventures, was something that caught my eye because I did do a video about the Thomas Trackmaster a year after it changed over to have a look at whether the hype about that was something which was legit or not. And in this video I wanted to take a little bit of a look at this too, because I thought it was the kind of thing which Mattel has done to us before, but I think this time, as some YouTubers, for example the Akin video, who's a other great YouTuber, who definitely beat me to making this video, has talked about, is actually mostly good. The thing that I want to talk about here is the story that I got with these, and why that's something which I think is really important, but also makes me really wonder who is going on and designing these toys at Mattel, because it seems like someone is making a lot of very weird decisions that are making it harder and harder and harder for people to want to buy their toys. So, what are we waiting for? Let's do it. So I wasn't going to pick up any of the adventure stuff, but again, if you've watched the other videos on my channel, you know that I checked out quite a lot of the 70th anniversary Thomas merchandise. This is something which I think then was something really exciting for me. Now, what I want to note about this packaging is obviously it's quite different from the Take and Play packaging from old. It's also very different from other Thomas Adventures packaging, which I thought was quite interesting. But the thing that I thought that was most strange was this logo here, which is a brand new logo compared to the one that was shown on the 70th anniversary merchandise, which is a gold circle with the 70 logo in it. What's weird about this is that we've got our own special logo, appears again on the back. That to me is really weird, because it seems like you would make a lot more money from linking this directly to The Adventure Begins, which is the video, but also just to the 70th anniversary of Thomas, rather than doing this. Now, the biggest thing I would think, and I don't want to sound like a conspiracy theorist in this video, but there are a couple of things to me that seem a little bit sus about this, is the 70th anniversary of Thomas and Friends was 2 years ago now. It was 2015, and this is 2017. So why is it that Mattel has held back this item until mysteriously and coincidentally the brand new Thomas Adventure line launches, and then released it? To me, this seems like something which would imply to some extent that this was something which Mattel has been planning for some time. And I know, for example, that with stuff like Transformers, the toys are developed about 18 months in advance to when they're actually released. So that would indicate in the correct time frame that this was designed and planned during the 70th anniversary of Thomas, but was planned to not be released until 2017. So in which case, think about that and remind yourself about that through the rest of the video, because I think it's really, really important, and it really shines a light on the fact that Mattel has been making some really dumb decisions with the toys they've been making, which I think is really unfortunate. Alright, so this Thomas is out of the packaging, and this is my first and only look at the actual Adventure Thomases. Again, it's quite light, but it's definitely metal diecast on the top, plastic on the bottom, just like the most recent version of the Take and Plays with the dumb magnets on there. It's really nice, I have to say that. I really enjoy this green Thomas. I think he looks really, really good. I'm a big fan of pretty much The Adventure Begins and most of the merchandise that came out around that. So to me, this is excellent and going to really fit well into my 70th anniversary Thomas display. The quick side note I would say about these couplings is I'm super glad that they can rotate, so you don't have the problem of like who can connect to who, although I don't think all the rolling stock rotates. So the Toad problem, which I saw just in a video that Leakin video very recently uploaded, which I didn't realize was a thing, is something which might still exist, because I'm not 100% certain about how many of the trucks have the movable hook. That said, the hook actually feels a little bit like the hook itself is quite strong, but the connection to the engine feels a little bit wobbly on. See, you can see it kind of wobbles around a bit in certain positions. So to me, that's a little bit, see, this one in the back particularly is very wobbly. So to me, that's a tad concerning, but hopefully it's got, the durability to last like it should, and like I hope that it does. But it definitely looks a lot better than the magnet, and I'm really, really happy with this. Really nice to see that it's got original Thomas written on the bottom there in case you forget whatever. And again, curious that the copyright is 2013, and that's because I think most of this engine, apart from the magnets, was designed during that original changeover. So, that's this Thomas. Let's get to the more interesting part of this video. This new, in inverted commas, take and play Thomas is definitely heavier, and that I believe is the presence of these magnets, which I agree do look really, really ugly, because when they changed the format, they made these smaller but made the magnets bigger, which means proportionally, like, Thomas is just way too long. Like, look how much that sticks out. Ugh, so ugly. But anyway, as you can see, the design of this is identical. The top of this engine is identical, the bottom of this engine is identical. The only part that seems to have changed is this very front section, which is where that magnet attached onto. However, what's really interesting to note here is that let's have a look at how these magnets work. You can see there's like a little notch on the front of these magnets that's built into them. Not really for any specific reason. To me, I didn't even really notice it until just now. I've noticed that there's this little ridge on the side of the magnet. And you're probably going, why does that matter? Well, because it's really important for what I'm about to talk about. I called up Mattel as per their instructions regarding the changeover to this new system, and after waiting on hold for about 15 minutes, I spoke to someone, and they were really, really friendly when I asked them about what was going on with the new system, and offered to send me some of these packs, which offer you 2 adapters to the old take and play track, and also you get 10 in each pack of the little magnet to clip converters. What she did say to me, though, which I think was very, very concerning, is that they had very, 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 very limited amounts of these to give away. In hindsight, wish I'd insisted. I didn't realize they were going to send me 2. I wish they didn't send me 1, because I said I'm not a collector of this, so I don't need these. And I'm worried that I'm taking them away from someone else who might actually want them. But she made it very clear to me that they didn't have many of them. They probably weren't going to have them for very long, and they were happy to help me now, but they probably couldn't do much about it. That to me is super weird, because I have no idea why Mattel didn't, like they did with Trackmaster 2 changing over, and also from the train to Trackmaster, from Tomy to Trackmaster, there was the transition period where they had the connectors, and from Trackmaster 1 to Trackmaster 2, there was the period when they had the connectors and all the sets. I don't know why they didn't do that this time, or, at the very least, just sell these packs. Like, they're giving them out for free, but I'm sure people would happily pay like $1 or $2 to save the, be able to reuse all of their old take and play track, and reuse a lot of their engines from the previous take and play line, if they could get them. Like, it seems weird they would make this only available if you happen to find the brochure, give them a phone call, and then get into them before they sell out of stock. So to me, that seems very weird from Mattel, and to be honest, I don't think it's good enough, considering that this is a massive change. And it's like, they're happy to give them out for free and post them to you for free, but they won't put them in the sets, which to me is really, really problematic. However, if you actually open this up, which I'm going to do now. Come on, let's come. Look, live unboxing. So you can see you get these little sections which allow you to peg into the old Trackmaster track and the new Trackmaster track, which is this here. So you get 2 of those, and you get a lot of these. Now, the thing about these is, as you can see, the way they work is with a little ridge that actually goes around the magnet and makes that really nice click sound, which converts these to hooks. Now look, this looks absolutely terrible, like horrific. That is just a joke. Like, honestly, I could tell you something very rude that looks like sticking out the front of Thomas, but I'm not going to. That's a joke to me. You can turn the magnet very difficult, and it clicks back in again. Yeah, there. Yeah, to me that is such a awkward thing. No one would ever do it. But it does allow you to do this. And enjoy that very tight connection. It's also a good connection on here, so you can see that they connect together quite well. I'll give the hook coupling that, and also, like, I pulled off the adapter then, but it does a pretty good job of holding together, any rolling stock. The thing is, though, this magnet would only have worked with this kind of connection if it had those little ridges built into it. And this is where, again, I get a bit conspiracy theory. But to me, what seems to have happened is Mattel was quite aware that they were going to change over to a new coupling system. Maybe they didn't know what it was yet when they redesigned these Thomases, which is why they built in that mechanism into the magnets. Because it makes no sense to mold in extra plastic on the side of the magnets unless you were planning to do an adapter sometime into the future. So then I asked the question, Mattel, why did you change to this style for 3 years and then screw everyone over by changing to a not only better coupling, but incredibly different coupling? Because the problem is now that, yes, there are very hard to find, very difficult to obtain adapters, so I can convert, and very ugly, to convert my second generation take-alongs to these. but there's no way for me to connect this to an original take-along. Had they just redesigned them 3 years ago to these straight away, or had they waited up until now to redesign them into these, they could have offered one adapter for the old style of magnet, and you would have had a lot less problems. To me, the fact that they've made people buy another version, they've made people buy the original version take-along, then this version, and now essentially, even with this, making people re-buy their collection a third time, to me is just purely inappropriate. And so I think that even if this is a step forward, which I think it is compared to this, this entire thing seems like a massive mistake, and to me, honestly, seems like a money-grabbing scheme from the outset. So maybe you guys have got some thoughts on that, but to me, that's just simply not good enough, and I'm really, really, really disappointed that Mattel has acted in this way, because to me, it just seems like very obvious from when they did this, they were planning to change to these, but they didn't, and so I think that's really unfair for the consumers. Okay, so that video got a little bit ranty just then, and I didn't really plan to do so. But what is the actual thing I want to say then in the final minutes of this video? Well, first of all, I do agree that these new Thomas Adventures are a step forward and they're definitely an improvement over these. I think that this model in particular is really, really worthwhile picking up if you're a collector. And I think it's a really nice one, even if you're not going to get any more adventures, which is me. I don't think I'm going to get any more adventures unless I do some, like, you know, really special models. For example, if anyone makes a Sean model, the Australian engine from the Great Race, I'm going to buy it. I don't care what line they make it in. So I think that's a nice model. I think also the thing to note is if you are, I don't know if they're doing it in other countries, but if you're in Australia and you have a lot of this take and play, I would recommend giving Mattel a call, but you need to do it ASAP, like right now. Because otherwise you won't get any of these adapters, which I mean, yes, they look really ugly and they're a little bit impractical, but I think, you know, for a lot of kids and parents, if they're watching these videos, that's going to be really helpful because it does save them. For example, if with trucks, you can just have, you don't need one for every single engine. You can just have one on the first engine and then just use the old magnet system to couple up the rest of the train. So I think having at least one set of these would be really good. And I think the actual gold in this little pack is this, which allows you to connect up to your old take and play track. Or, you know, obviously you're going to do it this way, but yeah, which I think is really, really important because that way you don't have to rebuy all of that track and you can still make some really cool layouts. Because unlike with, for example, Trackmaster 1, Trackmaster 2, these engines being very, very similar in design are compatible exactly with the other track version. So that's what I'll say at the end of this video. The final thing I want to say very briefly is price. This is a $6 toy from the store that I bought it from, and this is a $9 toy from the store that I bought it from. So, to me, Mattel's done a really good job in dropping the price of these. I think $6, considering Thomas Minis are about $2.50 to $3, this is excellent value for $6, and I think it's a really, really good $6 toy. This, to me, was always a little bit too expensive for $9, particularly when it had the dumb magnet systems in it, and, you know, although it was die-cast metal, there really wasn't a lot of stuff in this engine. So I think the changes that have happened, in summary, are good. I just think the way Mattel's done it has been particularly problematic, and I think the way that they've kind of, although they've semi-advertised they've changed systems, the way that they've hidden away these and rolled out this system is really bad. So, bit of a mixed bag then. Let me know your thoughts about Thomas Adventures, and also if you've got any insight into the conspiracy theory rubbish that I just spouted for the last 7 minutes of this video, then I would love to hear it. But to me, that's something that makes sense and something which I think is a little bit scary. But hopefully Mattel is finally starting to learn from their mistakes and realize that they shouldn't do this kind of thing and manage their transitions better. So yeah, don't forget to comment below, like, subscribe. Make sure you keep checking back my channel every now and then for new videos, because I know that YouTube has changed the way it alerts people of their subscriptions, and so people don't see videos unless they come back and look, or you click the little bell thing next to my channel name on the video, I think is how it works. But yeah, otherwise, thanks for watching, do all those cool things you do on YouTube, and that's all we've got time for. This is XtremeTrainz.